Welcome into another episode of Make a Difference with Phil Martelli. He is Phil Martelli. I am Jared Phillips. And right off the bat here, we do need to give a happy birthday shout out to the man right here. The big 7-1 for you, Phil, over the weekend. How's it feel? Any older? Any wiser?
No, I'm wiser because of the people that we've come in contact with through the show. Uh, Wiser knowing that I don't know what I thought I knew when I was younger. So I guess you say I got dumber to get better, and that certainly has been the case. And I do have the number of people that reached out just blows me away. People will be that kind. So please don't stop. Don't stop. If you think about it, text it or send an email or whatever it would be. Um, it, it is uplifting, and it's not a ego boost. It's just uplifting. Then it causes you to say, "I need to do the same," where I can spread that. Be that pebble in a pond and let your ripples go out because it is really appreciated. I try to get back to everybody, and um, means the world to me. So thank you.
So you had yourself quite a birthday, right? Pretty busy day.
A pretty busy day, but you have to prepare for those kind of days. The fact that it was a Sunday, Labor Day weekend, you have all this. Like, when are we going home? What do we have to pack? What are we taking? What's our preparation for an unbelievable guest? I had all of those different things going on. Had to get to mass. Had to get that Uncle Bill's. Uh, Maybe they should sponsor us, Uncle Bill's. We should do it from there one day. Uncle
We could
Bill's breakfast
get that in the
with
works.
Elizabeth and her family, and picking up FaceTime from Jimmy and his family, and Philip and his family. It was terrific. And then the middle of the day was a little bit calmer. Was able to get my workout in, and then out at night. And the places that we went to, you were like, was business down or up at the shore? The places that I went, it sure seemed that it was up. We had a nice dinner, got home, we're right there. And you know what I then locked into? I had a lock in, big game, looking for that 4-game sweep of Atlanta, 1-0 lead. Everything's headed in the right direction. Then the bullpen
Until it wasn't.
until it wasn't. And but to be surrounded by love and happiness was a pleasure, and it made me think about preparation. And this time of the year, there's a little bit different turn or mood change when you go from the summer to the fall. And I think of teachers, they have to be prepared. And parents, they have to be prepared, because it's not just back to school, but it's now back to activities, almost nightly activities. Coaches, basketball coaches, are you prepared? And it sounds crazy, but are you going to be a 2-for-1? Are you going to foul up 3? Now's the time when you have to prepare that. The NFL, obviously preparing, right? 2-minute drills. All these things that go into preparation. And it came to me, no one wants to follow someone who doesn't know where they're going. So with the tempo change, I ask you, what does your checklist look like? What is it? What do you have to get accomplished? It's not as free and easy as it seems in the summer, but now we have to get that checklist going. The Philadelphia Coaching Academy, we're working on this every day now to make sure our checklist, we can get everything done. And my suggestion would be the earlier the better, because you never know what could happen, what could make a left turn, or what could become a distraction. And if I could set up one other thing, would be set up landmarks. Set up landmarks. I always tell this story about your grandfather. He used to deliver his water bill in Sharon Hill, and he knew to get there, he had to go down Lansdowne Avenue, make a right turn at the Sunoco, make a left turn at the family drugstore, 2 blocks down on the right. He got lost one day because they tore down the Sunoco. And people thought, oh my God, what happened? No, I get it. His landmark. So everybody out there has landmarks. Make sure now's the time you set them up and follow them. Always remember, no one wants to follow someone who doesn't know where they're going. That's not even a Martelli minute.
It sure sounded like one. That
It
was
was
pretty
not.
good. Yeah,
It was not.
it could be.
But the Martelli minute brought to you by Status Solutions. What are they trying to do? Safety technology for all of our school kids. We need it. We need it. We need it. And all communities can help. What do they have to do? Statussolutions.com. Statussolutions.com. Help these young kids. Give back to our schools. But the Martelli Minute, where can they find that?
On Instagram every morning at 6:30 a.m. at Phil_Martelli.
Free.
It's free. It's $3.99.
So ready? Work. Work with the joy and passion that you bring to your play. Make it your life's purpose to help others. Seek daily improvement. Celebrate others' successes with an unbridled joy. Recognize that every day you must build real relationships, strengthen your present relationships, create memories, and be thankful. Let me do that one again. Recognize that every day you must build real relationships, strengthen your current relationships, create memories, and be thankful. Be thankful. And then this one hits me, and it has to continue to hit all of us. Never again. And that's not a Martelli minute, although it did go out as a Martelli minute. That's from Matt DeBoer. Matt DeBoer is the principal at the Annunciation Catholic School. Never again. We've said it repeatedly in this country, but this is from the mouth of those babies that were in the church. Let's try to live by that. Never again. The Martelli Minute.
Brought to you by Status Solutions every morning at 6:30 on Instagram at Phil_Martelli.
And now, are you going to be all right?
I'll be all right.
Are you sure you're going to be all right?
I'll be fine, man. Come on.
We're about to get into your wheelhouse right here.
You're acting like look at.
First of all, you didn't even mention your big alma mater victory, where you've gone on social media stating that they are a bowl team now. Temple.
They don't be surprised when they go bowling. Don't be surprised. Book your tickets now. Block off that stretch of late December, because
I will say this: the Casey Keeler segment got as much feedback as any that we've had done in the whole year.
I think you were two peas in a pod right there. Those are two guys with a long history of championship caliber coaching that I think, I don't think you'd quite gotten the opportunity to meet or interact before, but I think you two would get along pretty well.
Can you imagine 5 national championship appearances and then wondering if he was going to be good enough to get Delaware, where he was a great player, a national champ, and a graduate? That would have seemed like a no-brainer or overthinking by an athletic department. But I was delighted to hear in Casey, it was a little segment, a little notch in there, where he mentioned the athletic director and the president did the hiring. No search firms to hide behind and no influential alums. Not to disrespect them. We all need them. But an athletic director strength and a presidential strength. And what did they get? They got a national championship out of it.
Well, hanging your hat on your hire is a vital thing. And listen, we could spend the next hour talking about Temple football. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we didn't mention Evan Simon had 6 passing touchdowns in that week 1 win. I mean, I'd love to chat out, but we got to talk about a bigger fish in this pond.
We got a bigger fish in the football pond coming up on our guest segment. And I'm going to start again like I do with all of our guests. Start with the human being that he is and then wait till you hear his accomplishments. Well, this segment has allowed us to talk with so many that have accomplished individuals. Today's guest, though, has a resume that will choke anybody out there. An honored Navy veteran, top 100 graduates all time in over 100 years history, Oneonta State, master's in journalism from NYU, which is Ivy League in journalism, National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, Dick Vermeil Lifetime Achievement Award from the NFL Alumni, South Jersey Hall of Fame, an author, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, an honored newspaper journalist, Board of Trustees, Cooper Hospital, and Ron Jaworski's Youth Partnership. He hosts a football breakfast for Urban Promise. Why? To help kids that need it. Otho Davis Scholarship Fund, longest serving reporter at ESPN. So that's the end of the segment. We don't need, right? That took 20 minutes.
I didn't know so much of that. All I know is a stalwart and someone who basically, I think, has his own like room at the NovaCare complex during the season, right?
Because we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. But please welcome Sal Paolantonio to Make a Difference podcast.
Sal, how you doing?
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful. Fantastic. Looks great. I'm honored to be on the podcast. Honored.
Thank you. Sal, I think you have a unique ability to let the story tell itself. Whatever that story is, wherever that story takes you, any time of the year. How have you never made it about you with all those accomplishments?
You know, that's the basic core principle, Phil, that you have hit on of what I have tried to do in my career. I was just talking to my cameraman here at the NovaCare facility and our producer, Cody. And I said, you know, these jobs are hard to get and easy to lose. Do dumb stuff, get dumb prizes. And that's the core principle of being on the air, especially now where the microscope is so focused on everything you do. The camera is never off. Everybody's always watching you. So you have to approach the job with a sense of professionalism and dignity. I've been honored to be part of something called Play-by-Play Sports Broadcasting Network, where 8 to 18-year-olds every summer gather in Manayunk, believe it or not, in the middle of the summer, Phil. These young people, men and women, young kids from all over the country come to listen to everybody, John Clark, myself, and Charles Barkley's been there. And the one thing that I tell them all the time is it's never about you. It's about your subject. Go back and look at the most watched interview on ESPN of all time. It's my Bart Scott interview after the Jets beat the Patriots 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when Rex Ryan was the head coach. It's the famous "See you in Pittsburgh, can't wait." It went viral. It's been several languages. Hip-hop songs have been made about it. Wow. I say 11 words. 11 words, I say. That's it. Just let him do his thing. Get out of the way and let the subject tell their story.
Sal, you're synonymous with football. Can you take me first through this football in America? What does that conjure up for you when I say football in America? And then I'm going to follow that up with you saying football in Philadelphia.
Well, Phil, How Football Explains America was sort of a labor of love for me. It took me almost 19 years to get the book right. And it came out of an idea I had about the American game of football after I read a book by Franklin Foer, a very famous author from Washington, How Soccer Explains the World. And I looked at that book and I said, well, soccer may explain the world, but football explains America. Let me try to find out how and why. And I broke down the book in chapters on how the game was influenced by American history and how it influenced American history. And I started with the concept of manifest destiny. And if you go back to the late 19th century, the founding fathers of football, Amos Alonzo Stagg and those guys, a lot of guys from Yale, they didn't like rugby and soccer, which was handed down from Europe. They wanted a game that would have more scoring, be more scientific. That's why they created the gridiron. And they wanted one player to handle the ball more than any other. So they put a player 1/4 of the way back from the fullback and called him the quarterback. And that player would get the ball hiked to him and be in control of the ball and the action. And it took until like 1912 until they started picking it up and actually throwing it instead of tossing it. And that's when the game with Teddy Roosevelt involved really took off. And of course, you know, Teddy Roosevelt is the godfather of manifest destiny in this country. And the game mirrors the March of America. And that was the concept that I came up with based on my research at Princeton and Rutgers and looking what the founding fathers wanted to do. And I came across something that was really, really interesting. And it happened right here in Philadelphia at my old employer. On North Broad Street, the old Inquirer building, they had a picture window. And people would gather around that window to watch a diorama of the Penn Yale and Penn Harvard games being like almost like a precursor to electric football. And the score would go up on the window and people would watch it. And then they started putting the scores out in the newspaper and people got hooked. And that's how the game, and it has a lot of Philadelphia roots.
This, like, I get, you go all over the country, all over the world, really. But I don't think Philadelphia would take a backseat to anybody. Where do you think that comes from, this football passion? Literally, they could do 365 days a year on talk radio, on multiple talk radio stations, and it could only be football. How is Philadelphia different, or do we just think ourselves different?
Well, Philadelphia football is all about the Eagles. You know, you may go to other places where football is big, like the SEC.
Yes.
Or you go to Texas where high school football is big. And of course, the Cowboys are big, and they are a total eclipse of the sun when it comes to professional football in Texas. But in Philly, you know, high school football is okay. It's interesting. College football, not so much. It's about the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think it's two things, Phil. Believe it or not, I think one of them is Channel 6. Channel 6, WABC in Philadelphia, has the most potent imprint of any local television station in the country, going from Harrisburg to Hamilton, from Allentown to Atlantic City, all the way down to Delaware. And they cover the Eagles. And I'm on Channel 6 as a contributor every week. And no matter what I do on ESPN, it doesn't matter. If I'm on Channel 6, people will say, I saw you on Channel 6. Mm-hmm. It's so powerful. And I think they've had a lot to do with that. The other thing is Burt Bell. Burt Bell was the founder of the team, and he was the first NFL commissioner. The draft was held at a hotel in downtown Philadelphia, the old Warwick Hotel on the 12th floor. That was the first NFL draft with, you know, rotary phones. So, you know, I think those are the two things. And then, you know, the Eagles really took off, really, in my opinion, with Vermeil, and then Buddy Ryan, and then Andy Reid, and then, of course, Jeffrey Lurie just bringing a level of championship play. You know, I was looking at stuff just to get ready for this podcast, Phil, and it's fascinating to me. We don't get, the city of Philadelphia has never really gotten the respect that it deserves. I'm a New Yorker. I moved here 40 years ago with my wife, Lynn, and our 3 daughters, and we raised them in South Jersey. And being equidistant to the Poconos and the city and the shore, to me, it's always been nirvana. I love it. But right now, it's a football renaissance under Sirianni, Howie Roseman, Jalen Hurts, and Jeffrey Lurie. Now, just think about this for a second. There are 32 NFL teams. In the last 8 years, 16 Super Bowl participants. 7 of the 32 have been the Super Bowl participants. Just 7. And they are Philadelphia, the Rams, the Niners, the Bucks, the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. The other 25 have not been in the Super Bowl in the last 8 years. That's astounding. And when you look at it, only 2 of those teams have won multiple Super Bowls in those 8 years. The Chiefs and the Eagles.
Wow.
So we're in the middle of a dynasty, I think, of Philadelphia football. It's Eagles and Chiefs. The next team to win a Super Bowl, Eagles or Chiefs, will really be the team that challenges the Patriots dynasty.
Sal, you hit on a point there that I had as a question. The connection with Philadelphia. Yes, you're a national reporter. You're from New York. But what does it make you feel like when people out there in having a beverage, having an argument, whatever they're doing, and they say, "Oh, Sal Pal, he's one of us." What does that mean to you?
You know what I call it? I call it, when I have a cup of coffee from Wawa. I just went to the Wawa to get my coffee. And I like to tell people there's a Wawa courtesy that's common. People here hold the door open for you when you go in and out of Wawa. And I just love that. Whether you're in Avalon or you're in South Philly, it doesn't matter. I just was in South Philly and there was a bunch of guys from IBEW getting their morning coffee. And they all saw me walk in and they started an Eagles chant. It was the coolest thing. And when I go places and I see somebody and, they'll say 2 words, go Birds. I understand. Now, they do it all the time. And I always have to explain to them, listen, I grew up in New York. I don't wear Eagles paraphernalia. I don't root for the team. But, and here's the big but, I like eating my wife's ravioli and I like sleeping in my own bed. So if the Eagles are winning, that's good for me. And you're allowed to root for yourself. You're in this. Ray Didinger told me, Phil, you are allowed to root for yourself in this business.
So, Sal, you've covered politics and you've won awards for your writing with the newspapers. Most impactful interview you've done, TV, newspaper, subject, and not sport, but what's had the most impact on Sal?
Wow, that's crazy, Phil. That's a crazy question because I've probably done 2,500 to 3,000 interviews. But the one interview that I didn't do in person was the most impactful to me. When I was writing Frank Rizzo's biography in 1991, he was running for mayor in a 3-way Republican primary with Sam Katz and Ron Castile, the DA. And he was still alive. This was the spring of 1991. He knew I was working on the biography. I went up to his house in Crefeld Street in Mount Airy. And I said, Mayor Rizzo, I've got some roadblocks. I need some help. I sat down at his kitchen table. He had his long kitchen table, polished clean, because, he was fastidious to the max. Shoes always polished, white shirt and tie in the house. And I said to him, I need some help. And he goes, listen, here's my phone book. There's a police officer out in the parking lot of my house, out in the driveway. Get in the car, take my phone book, go to Kinko's Copies around the corner and make a copy of the book. So I go out to the car, knock on the window. Police officer takes me to Kinko's Copies. I come back. I still have Frank Rizzo's phone book, by the way. Amazing book. Amazing, Phil. Amazing. So I said, Mr. Mayor, the one guy that I can't get a hold of is Richard Nixon. I've been doing these chapters, the mayor and this guy, the mayor and this guy. I want to do a mayor and the president book. You were so close to Richard Nixon in the early 70s. He picks up the phone. He calls up Richard Nixon's home law office up in North Jersey. And the woman who answers the phone, you've seen her on Fox. Her name is Monica Crowley. She was Nixon's assistant. She answers the phone. He says, it's Frank Rizzo on the phone. I'd like to talk to the president if he's available. I got a nice Italian young man here who wants to talk to him. So he doesn't get on the phone with me. But Nixon tells Rizzo, just have me write out in longhand on a yellow piece legal pad 20 questions and send it up to the office. Because Nixon could have done 200 interviews with biographers a year, but he never did them because it was just too many people, that were writing biographies about people in the 20th century. So I write out the longhand on a legal pad, give him to Frank Rizzo. He sends him to Monica Crowley. Weeks go by. Phil comes back to me through Frank Rizzo, the answers in Richard Nixon's pen on a legal pad to my questions, and they're all in that book.
I got nothing. I'm done. So, and I say this as a friend to you, your passion and joy in everything that you do. I've been with you on charity events. I've seen you on the campus at St. Joseph's, and you just have this joy and your passion comes through. Where did that come from? Where do you find the strength to bring it every single day in every single setting?
My mother, her name was Marie Grace Giardina. She just passed away. She just passed away on Easter Sunday, same day as the Pope, at the age of 90. She was the last of 14 Giardina children from East New York. She was born on the third floor of a tenement in East New York, literally born in the tenement. And she was the last of 14. And the Giardinas have spread throughout the country. And she had an incredible passion. And that's how I would describe it. Everything was about putting everything on the line at all times. And my dad was just the opposite. My dad was stoic and came from a family of engineers. My godfather, my Uncle Tony, worked in submarines in the Navy during World War II. And his brother Mario also was in the Navy. And my dad was a draftsman, worked in the Draftsmen's Union in Long Island City, a union negotiator and organizer in Long Island City in the late 50s and early 60s. My dad was, if he said 5 words to you, you were lucky.
So, Sal, I have one more, but my man here, Jared, is my nephew, and he is a certifiable lunatic. Like, had he been born, he would have been a 700 vet guy. He leaves, he's worried about the backup long snapper for his beloved birds. He was on Bourbon Street. I raise my hand and say to you, baseball is I'm nuts about the Phillies. He is a lunatic, and he is a aspiring reporter. He's done high school news reports all up and down the East Coast. So I know he has a question about his beloved birds. So I didn't want to go there, but
no, I was gonna butt in for just a moment. I was like, Sal, we have you on the show. We can't sit here and pretend to beat around the bush here, not get your take. I mean, you've obviously spent a lot of the summer with the defending Super Bowl champs, and I got to know. You said they're on the verge of a dynasty here. Do you feel good about this season? Like how have they looked? Would really love to just get your take on what you've seen this summer.
Well, it's super hard to repeat as champions.
Yes.
We all know the last team to do it was the Patriots 20 years ago. So in the salary cap era, and they eviscerated their defense last year over the spring and the winter, and they're still trying to figure out things. But I'll say this: they're going about it the right way. One, Nick Sirianni told me that he spoke to Gino Auriemma, your guy Phil.
Yep.
He spoke to Nick Saban. He spoke to Peyton Manning and others about the concept of sustained success. How do you achieve it? How do you put it into your daily regimen, your practice, your strength and conditioning, especially when you have two new coordinators like they do. So that's one. They're going about the right way. Two, Jalen Hurts spent the offseason with Michael Jordan. Just listening to Michael Jordan, watching Michael Jordan, thinking like Michael Jordan for the same reason. So Jalen Hurts just gave us a quote yesterday, and you'll love this, Coach. Contribution over credit. And it's a great concept. And the concept is do whatever it takes to win and don't worry about getting the credit. And you can do that now because he won the Super Bowl MVP. And I saw Tom Brady make his comments yesterday in preparation for the season where he said quarterbacks are not as cerebral as when he came up. I would beg to differ with Tom Brady. Just, I host the NFL matchup show, and one of the things that I've done over the years with Merrill Hodge, Ron Jaworski, Lewis Riddick, Matt Bowen, Greg Cosell is study the game from the All-22. And when you watch the game from the All-22, which is the quarterback's perspective, I like to watch behind the quarterback. You get to see the quarterback's mind working. Wow. And I watched the Super Bowl 59. I know this is a long-winded answer, but Jalen is very cerebral. Jalen is very good pre and post snap and getting better at it. And his ability to diagnose and recognize pre and post snap what defenses are doing and getting in and out of plays, significantly better than many, many quarterbacks, including Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. I would say the only ones that are as good as him are Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, are in that group. So to me, he's in the top 5 of that group. And he has the components to put the plan in place. Now, Spagnuolo stacked the box to stop number 26 in Super Bowl 59. That's what Matt Eberflus is going to try to do on Thursday night. He's going to try to stack the box. He's going to try to do what Jerry Jones said publicly they were going to do, stop the run. Well, guess what? Stopping the run, okay. But then what did Jalen Hurts do in Super Bowl 59? He went bombs away to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. If you nose in, he'll go deep. He's got the components to do that. So it's in place, I think, for them to repeat. Got to have great luck in injuries. They were the second healthiest team in the league last year. Second healthiest. So they were lucky last year with injuries. And you got to believe that each game is different from the next, which I do think they do in a mindset sense.
Sal, you just made his day.
No,
He's on his way to Broad Street right now. I think he's going to stop in Havertown and pick up Kelsey and hang out with him for the season. But Sal, thank you. You have blessed us. And we always end our segment with this question. I have the answer already, but I have to get it again. Who's made a difference in Sal Paolantonio's life?
Oh gosh, so many people, Navy officers, my parents. But the number one person who's made a difference in my life is my wife, Lynn. We have been married 47 years. We have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. When I left my home this morning, I said, "Thank you, honey, for being my wife,"
Mm-hmm.
because I believe that you have to have shalom in the home. If you want, Vaisakahema, one of my mentors, said, "No amount of success in the world can compensate for failure in the home." And you got to have that. And my wife has given that to me. It's the most precious thing in my life. And it's allowed me to have the successful career.
Well, can't wait, Sal. Can't wait. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for blessing us with this time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sal.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
There are few, if any, more plugged into what the Philadelphia Eagles have looked like this summer. I mean, man, that's there
NFL, just
all
the
the time.
NFL.
Yeah, I'm focused birds, but yeah, around the NFL. I mean, it's wonderful to hear for someone just as we are about to kick off this season, and get me honestly pumped up. What he had to say about Jalen Hurts was exactly what I wanted to hear. The only thing I wanted to add was, you're calling me a lunatic. You know who's a lunatic is Jalen Hurts, because he gets a Super Bowl ring, doesn't even want to put it on because all he can think about is the next one. And I'm like, that's the kind of crazy person that I want as my quarterback, who is so focused, laser focused on success, he can't even celebrate the one that he's already had.
And the idea that they've carried through all of training camp, they're not defending champ. I don't get that. I don't get when people say you're defending champ. No. You were the champs. Then there's going to be another champ this year. Right? And this idea of you're not. You're trying to beat Dallas, and you're trying to win your next game, and you're trying. That's what you're doing. You're not defending a championship. They can't take that from them. They can't, and they won't. So I've always been big on that. When your season starts, you put this season, your championship Super Bowl, on the shelf. It's nice to look at, and it's nice to remember. But if it's 3rd and 2 in the rain in Green Bay, in November, you can't go, "Hey, by the way, we're defending." It doesn't get you anything. It's what you do now. So I'm really impressed with their approach, and I'll be anxiously waiting until after November to start paying attention, because we got Phils.
That's fair. Yeah, I had a feeling you're like, yeah, I'll clock in November.
I'll clock in.
Yeah,
I'll clock in. But man, talk about the pace slowing. I had a chance to have a limited calendar. We talked about a birthday celebration, and again, a shout out to those people that stay connected and just think of others. It's special. Really means a lot. But I really only had one other stop. I was able to go to Cherry Hill, to the school district at Cherry Hill, speak to the secondary school teachers and staff, and then follow that up with the grade school. The elementary school. And from the Cherry Hill Education Association, Dr. Wally is their president. She did it all. She met me at the school. She moved the cones so I could park. She introduced me. She kept me on time. And then afterwards allowed me to visit with their basketball coaches and her executive board, with a little salad and pizza. And Dr. Wally, you're the star. You're the star. And to go there the day after the school shooting, I did tell her that I had all kinds of thoughts running through my head, and their enthusiasm and their attention lifted me. So thank you to everybody out there in the Cherry Hill School District for that opportunity. And hopefully we can stay connected. Now you go into Labor Day and you say, well, what do you have? Where are you going? Well, I have a POZ podcast tonight in Aston, PA. And for those out there, tonight would be Tuesday after Labor Day, whenever you're watching this. So the Tuesday after Labor Day, I'll be able to do the pause. I'm going to visit with one of our guests, David Kelleher, head out. Time to get that flu shot. Time to get that flu shot. And hopefully by then the COVID shot. And I'm not being political, but I'm going to listen to the scientists and not to the quackpots. I will. I'm good. I'm good. I have no. And then
I'm with you, man.
preparation.
Go get that flu shot. I'm with
I'm
you.
definitely doing that. Preparation for the podcast for the next 2.5 months. We're again looking. Anybody has a community person. The next 2 weeks are covered with a. We're going to entertain you next week. The following week, we're going back into the community. A superstar in West Philadelphia who is lifting up all of those children educationally, socially. We're excited about that. Then we're going to go to one of the superstars nonprofit, and then we're at towards the end of September. But we need input, and we're going to reach out to every single person that is presented to us. But for the next 2.5 months, 2.5 months is going to take us to about the middle of November, and then we'll become hoop centric. But up until then, we want to be in the community. And then in a kind of a finale, talked about Jim Murray last week, and a fascinating guy, general manager of the Eagles, all around Mount Rushmore kind of guy in Philadelphia. If you can get to, and I believe it was the Philadelphia Inquirer, they tell a story about his connection with the Pope and how he named his son for the Pope. And when the Pope came to Philadelphia, he got a picture. He orchestrated a picture with his son, an infant, and the Pope. Years later, he met the Pope again in Alaska, and the Pope remembered Philadelphia. Jim Murray, to say one of a kind is giving too much to kind. He was one of one. And then my final thought would be this. I go to mass every week, not to be applauded for that, not to be patted on the back. And I am very faithful about the prayer of the faithful, where we send prayers out. And to have been in church last week and then it was not brought up about the shooting hurt me a little bit. It makes me wonder. I think we need to do better in dealing with natural disasters and situations that occur. We would be doing a service for all if we stayed more relevant with that prayer. I don't know why it gets to me, but it does get to me every single time. And I think that you have to break the template when the world outside of us gets turned upside down. So I'm looking for that and hoping for that, and lifting up all of those school children that are impacted. They didn't have to be in that school at that time, but every school child is impacted. So prayers go out for every single one of them and every single parent. I'll go back with this idea. If we can prepare and we can lift, that's what the preparation will allow us to lift everybody in times of need. And this is a time of need for all of us. Not this woe is us, but yeah, let's look around. Let's spend this fall lifting others as we try to do and make a difference.
Beautifully said. I want to thank our guest once again, Sal Paolantonio. Just fantastic. Some awesome stories. I mean, the Rizzo and Nixon story was unbelievable. Just his insight with the Eagles is terrific.
The fact that he has Frank Rizzo's phone book, and I saw you're trying to figure out how you're going to get, but people don't have phone books anymore. Can you imagine? This was a black phone book. Now they probably have all their phone numbers in their phone, right?
That's right. Yeah. I'm not that young. I do. I've seen Yellow Pages before. I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Come on.
Wow.
And a White Pages even. I don't know which one is which, but they're they're big phone books. I know that. Don't need them anymore. You got Google, but I can't imagine that Frank Rizzo's phone book probably contained a lot of numbers that you wouldn't find in many of those in those pages. Sure, but
there might have been a few unsavory characters in Frank Rizzo's.
I'm glad you were the one to say it.
Wow.
That was terrific. But again, thank you again from Sal. For him to take this time to, and pretty much what is as busy of a week as it can be for him at the kickoff of the season. Very appreciative.
And you have Birds Cowboys. That's a big game.
Oh, big time. Big time. Massive one. Banner raising. Thursday night game. Going to be a blast down there in South Philly. So if you're looking to get in touch with Phil to help him make a difference, head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. That is where he is trying to help make a difference in this Philadelphia community, either on or off the court, whether it's the workplace, the classroom, or elsewhere. We are at Make a Difference Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, at Make a Diff Pod on X. Make a Difference with Phil Martelli on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. Or if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or another podcast platform, go ahead and give us that 5-star rating. We would be very, very appreciative. And Phil, that's all I got, other than if you want to ruminate on the I would say bit of a rocky few days here for the Phils, but nice bounce back on Labor Day.
No, I'm only going to test everybody out there. If you truly say you're a Philadelphia Philly fanatic, just let me know that you know who the Dodgers play over the next week, because that's the opposition now. The Dodgers have to get the number 2 seed. Then you get the bye. Then we set up this pitching staff. But they're in. Are you in? Because I'm in. Go Phils.
Go Phils, and
go Birds.
Go Birds.